Good evening and welcome back to 31 Horror Nights. It's October 5th and tonight's movie is Cam. This is a horror movie from 2018 that revolves around a young woman working as a webcam model. For those of you who don't know, webcam modeling or camming is a type of sex work. I mean, I don't think it necessarily has to be sexual, but when people talk about webcamming or cam girls, they usually mean it in a sexual context. But it's sort of like OnlyFans, where it's all about like personalized shows. The main character in this movie seems to do a lot of live streams. And from the trailer, I think that the main conflict of the movie is that she has her identity stolen, both figuratively and literally, because she's like locked out of her account, and then she sees that her account is live and someone who looks just like her is performing. Slight red flag, when I was watching this trailer on YouTube, I saw in the recommended videos a video that was called something like Cam, Why I'll Never Trust Movie Critics Again, and this was well received by movie critics. And you know what? I feel that movie critics have done me dirty several times. It's because of their glowing critical reviews that I watched Killing of a Sacred Deer, Kill List, The Mist. I really hope that this isn't another one of those types of movies. I'm gonna go watch it. Quick sort of disclaimer before the review proper. This movie is about a woman doing sex work, and I'm not going to get that explicit. I tend to keep things like PG around here, but it also talks about the prejudice that sex workers face from other people. And it's not really my place to make some grand sweeping statement about it, so I'll just say, I believe that adults have the rights to make their own choices as long as they know what they're getting into and they're not hurting themselves or anybody else. And I think that everyone has the right to feel safe at work and feel like work is over when they clock out. But with that being said, I'm not going to go into that much detail about the stuff that she does on her cam show. Anyway, to the movie itself, I think I was kind of expecting this to be like a webcam POV horror movie where like the whole webcam thing, the cam girl is like a setup, but it's like the supernatural thing that's caught on these webcams. But no, it's almost like Perfect Blue, where it's a psychological thriller of revolving around a quote-unquote celebrity, but instead of like a pop idol, she's a webcam model. And in that vein, I would say that Cam is decent. I'm giving it a 7 out of 10. There were a lot of things that I liked in this movie, some things I didn't care for, and I'm really not crazy about the ending, but overall there's a lot to enjoy in this movie if you're willing to get past the basic premise of revolving around cam modeling. Our leading lady is Madeline Brewer as Alice, a webcam model who goes by the name Lola. The acting and writing with her is pretty good, not nearly as good as Beth from yesterday, but still not bad. I was happy to see at the beginning that Alice seems very intent on setting boundaries, like she doesn't do things like tell her viewers that she loves them. Her friends and her younger brother know that she's a cam girl, her mother does not. And obviously that does cause problems later in the movie, but for the most part, she does seem to have taken all the responsible steps to keep herself safe. Well, I mean, safe from all the normal stuff. Once this weird doppelganger takes over her account, there's not really much she can do about it. The scenes where she's watching this doppelganger be on live is really eerie because she's acting like her and she's doing things that she would do. Like the first time it happens, she goes to her calendar and sees if she could find the VOD that they're playing and claiming it's live, but it's not a past performance, it actually is live. Even though you can see the location in which it would currently be streaming from, and there's nothing happening there. And if having an imposter wasn't bad enough, the doppelganger goes on to do things that Alice would not do. One of the overarching themes of Cam is a lot like one of the overarching themes of that movie Nerve, where it's basically just people offering other people money to do outlandish things, and it keeps ramping up. More money means more outlandish stuff, and it escalates, and you can't like see from the outside how anyone could get to the point, but it comes up gradually and they see it as normal even though it's very much not. This goes beyond putting on a little show. It's like injuring oneself on camera for money. One theme with Alice's character is that she seems to put a little bit too much stock into what rank she is on the site that she works on. Like, I'll tell my mom once I get in the top 10, then she'll see that it's actually doing good for me. And there was also this scene where she was celebrating getting into the top 50 in rankings, but then her rank plummets because a rival streamer said to the people watching, "I will take off one article of clothing for every single rank you can make Lola fall." And as this happens, Alice puts on a happy face for the sake of the show, but you can see it really gets to her. And you can also see how much it affects Alice to see this public persona that she's created for herself being destroyed by this doppelganger. I would only recommend this movie if you're willing to look past the premise, because they don't hold back with that premise. That you will see stuff that's very explicit if you watch this movie. This, in addition to that, is an interesting psychological study and a decent horror movie. So if that interests you, I'd say check it out. And now I want to talk about some spoilers. One thing in this movie that I didn't really care for is a sort of character moment with Alice. In the first stream you see her do, she sees a comment telling her to cut herself with a knife, and he keeps donating and pestering her, even after she tries to ban them. So she actually grabs a knife and cuts her throat and dies, but then she gets back up and says, "Just kidding," and then she pulls off this, like, fake blood prosthetic on her throat. But from what I can tell, only she and one other person knew that this was a stunt. For all she knew, there were people watching who actually thought they watched someone kill themselves. And that idea is not brought up at all. It's not even considered by any of the characters in the movie. So the impact of something that happens later when she watches the doppelganger put a gun in her mouth and blow her brains out, or at least appear to do so, and she acts all shocked and traumatized by it, well, I mean, you've done the same thing to other people. And obviously it's not a one-to-one, but still, that could have been a cause for a little bit of self-reflection, and they just gloss over that. Anyway, the weird situation with the doppelganger keeps getting worse. She keeps breaking the rules that Alice says that she sets for herself. Don't fake orgasms. Don't do shows in public. Don't tell your viewers that you love them. She sees the doppelganger break at least 2 of those rules. But her breaking point, and quite literally breaking point, she grabs her laptop and bangs it against a table, is when the doppelganger doxes her little brother with a first name and a picture. She can't get any help from the site herself, and she doesn't get any help from the police, so she takes matters into her own hands and tries to find some answers. Any answers that she finds are kind of vague, just sort of nebulous statements about something on these sites that impersonates people. And that brings us to the ending, where she gets a private video chat with the doppelganger, and when the doppelganger sees Alice, she doesn't act like she sees someone who looks exactly like her. She just sees her as somebody watching. She kind of just acts like a robot or like an AI or something. And anyway, Alice made a setup where the people watching the stream can see her and the fake Lola side by side. And through a lot of very drastic measures, she is finally able to get the password to the account back, and she deletes the account. And apparently that just fixes the problem. Honestly, it feels kind of underwhelming of a climax after all that build-up. She just sort of takes on a new identity. Apparently she gets a fake ID and puts on a wig and goes on that same site pretending to be someone else. And I guess we're supposed to just believe it will never happen again. It's not like she destroyed the doppelganger. She just deleted the account it was using. So yeah, I do have a few issues with this movie, but the biggest of all of them is the ending, which I felt was a little unsatisfying. There's some good horror, there's some good commentary, there's some good psychological moments. It is a decent movie. Once again, if you're also okay with the basic premise of the movie. And that's it for today. I'll see you tomorrow.